Under a sky smudged with early autumn gray, the city throbbed with its usual urgency. Sleek cars jostled for position along wet avenues, their headlights flickering across puddles and glinting off the glass facades of high-rises. In the back seat of a black Maybach, Leonard Drake watched the world rush by, separated from the ordinary by tinted windows and the hum of privilege. His driver, Marcus, slowed as traffic thickened near the intersection of Fifth and Olcott. Leonard glanced at his watch, a platinum piece that gleamed even in the dull light. Meetings awaited, contracts to sign, every minute accounted for. Then a small, pale figure on the sidewalk caught his attention. A little girl, maybe 7 or 8, sat hunched beside a city bench, thin arms wrapped around her knees. Blonde curls clung to her damp cheeks, and her sobs made her shoulders tremble. "Marcus, stop the car," Leonard said sharply. His driver hesitated, glancing in the rearview mirror. "Sir, your meeting. Now." The Maybach glided to the curb. Leonard stepped into the drizzle, the cool air shocking after the warmth inside. The girl's cries grew louder as he approached, raw and desperate. She didn't look up. Leonard knelt, ignoring the mud that streaked his trousers. "Are you hurt?" he asked, voice gentler than he'd used in years. No answer. Only shuddering breaths and more tears. He reached into his coat for a handkerchief and offered it to her. "What's your name?" She drew a shaky breath, hands still covering her face. Her shoes were soaked, toes poking through worn canvas. "Go away," she whispered. "I won't hurt you," Leonard said, the words catching in his throat. For a moment, she was the ghost of another little girl, one he hadn't seen in 5 years, one he'd lost by his own stubbornness. "Are you lost?" He tried again. She sniffled. "My mom said not to talk to strangers." "That's good advice." He forced a smile, though she couldn't see it. "But it's cold, and you look scared. Can I call someone for you?" At that, she finally lifted her head, eyes swollen and rimmed with red. There was a peculiar brightness in them, a color that snagged at Leonard's memory. Icy blue, so familiar it made his heart lurch. "Daddy!" she choked, as if not quite believing the word. Time collapsed. Leonard stared at her, uncomprehending, then searching her features for proof. The nose, the shape of her jaw. God, it couldn't be. "Madeline." His voice was hoarse. She nodded, tears breaking free again. "You left," she said, accusation and heartbreak mingling in her voice. "Why did you leave us?" Leonard's mind reeled, pieces clicking together in a wild, impossible pattern. He reached for her, but she shrank back, wrapping herself tighter. He remembered the last time he'd seen her, barely 3, clinging to her mother's leg, silent as a shadow. He'd walked out, convinced that money could fix what love could not. I didn't know where you were," Leonard stammered. "Your mother, she left without a word." Madeline shivered, watching him with wary eyes. "She said you didn't want us." His chest tightened. He knelt there in the rain, feeling smaller than he'd ever been, exposed by the fragile trust in his daughter's eyes. A voice called from across the street, a woman's voice, frantic. "Maddie! Maddie, where are you?" Madeline's eyes widened. She scrambled to her feet, ready to bolt. Leonard reached for her hand. "Wait, please. Let me talk to your mother." The woman was running now, hair wild, coat flapping. She froze when she saw Leonard, her expression twisting from relief to shock to something bitter and sharp. "You," she spat. "Stay away from her." Leonard rose, keeping himself between Madeline and the street. "Lily, please. I just found her here, crying, alone." Lily ignored him, kneeling and pulling Madeline into her arms. "Are you hurt? Did he touch you?" Her voice cracked with panic. Madeline shook her head. "He didn't hurt me. He stopped to help." Lily glared at Leonard, voice trembling. "You don't get to play hero. You lost that right." Cars sped by, indifferent to the drama on the curb. Rain dripped from Leonard's hair, cold against his scalp. He swallowed, searching for words. "I just want to talk." Lily's jaw set. There's nothing left to say. But Madeline wouldn't let go of his hand, her small fingers clutching his with desperate strength. Leonard looked down, hope and dread warring inside him. He'd always thought power meant control. Now he realized it meant responsibility. For the first time in years, he didn't know what would come next. In the silence, the city seemed to hush, waiting for Lily's answer. Lily's fingers tightened around Madeline, as if she could shield her daughter from every past mistake and present danger. Leonard stayed perfectly still, his heart thrumming in his chest. Rain blurred the city, washing the world in streaks of silver and gray, muffling the words they were afraid to speak. Madeline pressed her face into her mother's coat, but her grip on Leonard's hand lingered. Lily's eyes darted to their joined hands and then back to Leonard, a warning in her gaze. Leonard lowered his voice, careful not to startle them. "I didn't expect to find you here. Either of you." The words felt thin against the weight of years lost. Lily straightened, brushing rain from Madeline's curls. "We don't need your help, Leonard. We're fine." Madeline peeked up, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm hungry, Mommy." Lily closed her eyes for a moment, a flicker of pain passing over her face. She fumbled in her pocket and produced a battered granola bar, offering it to Madeline with trembling hands. Leonard saw the exhaustion, the dark circles under Lily's eyes, the way her coat hung too loose on her frame. Guilt gnawed at him. "Let me take you somewhere warm. Just to eat. That's all." Lily shook her head, but Madeline looked up at her, pleading. "Please, Mommy. My feet are cold." A city bus rumbled past, sending a spray of gutter water over the curb. Leonard stepped between them and the street, shielding them as best he could. "You can watch me the entire time," he said softly. "Just a cafe. Then you can leave if you want." Lily hesitated, war waging behind her tired eyes. She glanced down at Madeline, who clung to her sleeve. Finally, Lily nodded, the decision draining her. "Fine. Just food. Nothing more." Leonard exhaled, the tension in his chest loosening for the first time in years. He opened the car door, gesturing for them to enter first. Marcus looked back in surprise as Lily and Madeline slid into the back seat. Leonard followed, his mind racing. The interior was plush and warm, a world away from the drizzle outside. Madeline gaped at the tiny twinkling lights embedded in the car ceiling, momentarily forgetting her misery. "Where to, sir?" Marcus asked quietly. Leonard named a small cafe he remembered from years ago, a quiet spot with booths and thick cocoa. Marcus nodded, pulling away from the curb. Inside the car, silence fell. Madeline's hunger outweighed her shyness. She nibbled at the granola bar, watching Leonard with wary fascination. Lily stared out the window, jaw clenched. Leonard tried to speak, but the words tangled on his tongue. He reached into the seat compartment and pulled out a cashmere blanket, offering it to Madeline. She hesitated, then accepted it, wrapping herself tight. He studied Lily's reflection in the window, the ghost of the woman he'd loved, still beautiful, but her features sharpened by hardship. "How long have you been in the city?" he asked softly. She didn't answer. "Lily, please. I just want to know you're safe." Her eyes flashed. "Safe?" she hissed, keeping her voice low for Madeline's sake. "You think money makes us safe? We had to run, Leonard. You know why." Leonard stiffened, old wounds reopening. "You could have called, written, anything, and let you take her from me?" Lily's voice trembled with old fury. "Never." Madeline looked between them, confusion flickering across her face. "Are you going to fight?" she asked, voice quivering. Leonard reached for her hand, but stopped short. "No, sweetheart. I promise." He managed a smile, but Madeline's gaze slid away. The cafe emerged, a warm pool of light in the evening gloom. Marcus parked discreetly, and Leonard ushered Lily and Madeline inside. The hostess stared at their bedraggled group but led them to a private booth. Menus arrived. Madeline's eyes widened at the pictures: steaming soup, thick sandwiches, pastries dusted with sugar. Leonard handed the menu to her. "Order whatever you want." Lily shook her head. "She'll just have soup." Madeline gazed up at her, torn. Leonard smiled gently. "Today's a special day. Let her choose." After a moment, Lily relented. Madeline ordered soup, a grilled cheese, and, shyly, a slice of chocolate cake. Leonard ordered coffee, black. Lily refused everything. As they waited, Leonard tried to read Lily's face, searching for some trace of forgiveness. Instead, he found only exhaustion and a wariness that chilled him. Madeline ate hungrily, oblivious to the tension. When the cake arrived, she grinned, chocolate brightening her face. For a fleeting moment, Leonard saw the baby girl he'd once cradled. Then, as the last crumbs disappeared, Lily stood abruptly. "We have to go." Leonard's heart lurched. "Wait, at least let me get you a room for the night. You can leave in the morning, no questions. Please." Madeline looked at her mother, hope flickering in her eyes. "Can we, Mommy? Just one night?" Lily hesitated, torn between pride and desperation. A shadow fell across the table. A man in a cheap suit, with the look of someone who'd been watching for too long. He spoke quietly, but his words crackled with menace. "Excuse me, Lily. We need to talk." Lily froze, fear draining the color from her face. Madeline's fork clattered to the table. Leonard tensed, rising from his seat, instinct screaming that the past wasn't finished with any of them. The stranger's eyes narrowed, and he slid his hand into his pocket, voice low and dangerous. "It's about your debt. You know why I'm here." The stranger's words seemed to freeze the air around their booth. Lily's hand trembled where it rested on the table. Madeline shrank against her side, clutching the cashmere blanket with wide, frightened eyes. Leonard felt every muscle in his body coil, protective and furious. He stood, placing himself between the man and Lily. "Whatever you want, take it up with me," Leonard said quietly, his voice steel beneath the calm. "This isn't the place." The man didn't back down. "It's not your business, sir. This is between me and Lily." Leonard caught the way Lily wouldn't meet his eyes. "She's with me now," he said, louder, drawing the attention of the few late-night diners. "So whatever you're here for, you'll deal with me instead." The man sneered. "You think you can fix everything with a few dollars? This isn't that kind of debt." Leonard leaned in, lowering his voice. "You have two choices, leave or I call the police. Decide." For a long, pulsing moment, the man's eyes flicked between Leonard's unwavering stare and Lily's cowering form. At last, he backed away, but not without a final warning. "This isn't over. She knows how to reach me." Then he turned and slipped into the shadows near the cafe entrance, vanishing into the city night. Leonard slowly sat back down, but the warmth had drained from the air. Madeline whimpered. Lily's face was a mask of panic and humiliation. He waited until Madeline's attention wandered to her empty plate, then leaned close to Lily. "What have you gotten into?" Lily's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "You don't understand, Leonard. Things got bad after you left, really bad. I lost work, the apartment. People said they'd help, but everyone wanted something. I borrowed money. Too much. I thought I could pay it back, but—" She trailed off, glancing at Madeline. The child was tracing circles in spilled cocoa with her finger. Leonard's voice was gentle but firm. "Why didn't you call me?" "Pride," she whispered, her voice cracking. "And anger. And because I thought you'd take her away." He reached across the table, covering her trembling hand with his own. "No more secrets, Lily. Let me help. All of it." She pulled away, hurt and defiant. "It's not just about money. He knows where we live. If we don't pay, he'll—" She stopped, swallowing back the words. Madeline looked up, her lip quivering. "Are we in trouble, Mommy?" Leonard's heart ached at the fear in his daughter's voice. He forced a calm smile. "No, sweetheart. I promise you're safe. Lily gathered her things, desperate to flee. We need to go. Now. Leonard stood, blocking her path gently. You're not running. Not this time. Come back to my house. Both of you. I have security, real protection. Please, Lily. For Madeline's sake. She hesitated, torn between distrust and hope. Madeline, sensing her mother's weakness, looked up at Leonard with wide, hopeful eyes. Can we, Mommy? Just one night? I don't want to sleep outside anymore. Lily's resolve crumbled. One night, she whispered. Just so she can rest. Leonard nodded to Marcus, who had been waiting near the door, eyes alert. They left the cafe quickly, Leonard keeping a watchful eye for the stranger. Outside, the city seemed colder, the wind knifing through the darkness. The Maybach waited, engine running. Inside the car, Madeline quickly drifted off in the warmth, her small body curled beneath the blanket. Lily sat stiff and silent, eyes haunted. Leonard watched the city lights flicker by. We'll go to my place. There's a spare room for Madeline. You can stay in the guest suite. Lily barely nodded. As the car glided through the city, Leonard's mind raced with questions. Who was the man at the cafe? How deep did Lily's troubles go? He glanced at Madeline, her breathing even, a rare peace on her sleeping face, and resolved to keep them safe, no matter the cost. The Maybach pulled into the underground garage of a towering glass building overlooking the park. Security lights glowed in the gloom as they rode the private elevator to the penthouse. Inside, the apartment was vast and silent, full of soft light and expensive things. Lily hovered by the door, overwhelmed. Leonard led her gently down the hall, opening a door to a warm bedroom with a queen bed and thick comforter. He carried Madeline in, laying her carefully on the bed. She stirred, blinking awake. Is this our home now? She asked, hope and fear mingling in her voice. Leonard knelt beside her. It's yours for as long as you need it. She smiled sleepily, drifting off again. Lily stood at the threshold, arms wrapped tight around herself. Leonard turned to her, his voice gentle. You can rest now, Lily. No one will hurt you here. Tomorrow, we'll talk. We'll figure everything out. I promise. She nodded, but as Leonard stepped away, she caught his hand. Thank you, she whispered, her voice raw with relief and shame. As Leonard returned to the hallway, he paused. His phone buzzed, a new message from an unknown number. You think you can protect them. But I know where you live. The sense of safety shattered, replaced by a chilling certainty. This night was only the beginning. A cold shiver lingered on Leonard's skin as he stood in the hallway, the glow of the message burning in his hand. The penthouse felt suddenly exposed, too many windows, too much quiet. He moved quickly, checking the security panel near the elevator. Cameras blinked to life, each corridor and entrance now under his watchful eye. In the guest room, Lily sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. Madeline slept deeply, her face soft in the warm lamplight. Leonard rapped lightly on the open door, careful not to wake the child. Lily looked up, her eyes ringed with exhaustion. Was that man? Did he follow us? Leonard shook his head, forcing confidence into his voice. No one followed us. I've tightened security. Marcus is downstairs, and the desk knows not to let anyone up. You're safe tonight. She nodded, but worry etched deep lines on her face. He's not the only one, Leonard. There's more. I owed money to the wrong people. When you have nothing, you make desperate choices. He stepped closer, voice quiet. You don't have to face this alone anymore. Lily's laugh was brittle, full of years lost. You say that now, but when things get messy, people disappear. He knelt beside her, lowering his voice. I won't. Not again. For a moment, the distance between them shrank, filled with old memories and the ache of unfinished business. Leonard wanted to promise her safety, but the message on his phone haunted him. There were things money could not erase. A knock echoed from the main hallway, 3 precise raps. Leonard's chest tightened. He gestured for Lily to stay put and closed the bedroom door behind him, crossing to the entrance. Through the security monitor, he saw Marcus, a rare frown on his face. Leonard opened the door. "Sir, there's a problem downstairs," Marcus whispered. "A man tried to get past the desk. Said he was here for the woman and the girl. He's gone now, but he left this." Marcus held out a small envelope, the paper cheap and smudged with fingerprints. Leonard took it, dread swirling in his stomach. Inside was a single Polaroid, Lily and Madeline, snapped that afternoon on the street, unaware of the camera's gaze. Scrawled across the bottom in marker, "You can't hide." Leonard forced his face calm, but Marcus caught the flicker of fear. "Should I call the police?" Leonard shook his head. "Not yet. They'll want answers Lily can't give. I need you to double the security tonight. No one gets in or out without my say." Marcus nodded, his eyes grave. "Understood, sir." Leonard locked the door, then walked to his office and dropped into the leather chair, staring at the photograph. His world, once so meticulously controlled, now felt as fragile as a soap bubble. He wanted to call the police, to end it with the force of law, but something told him the men chasing Lily didn't play by those rules. A soft cry echoed from the guest room. He hurried back to find Madeline sitting upright, tangled in the blankets, her cheeks wet with tears. Lily cradled her, whispering soothing words. Leonard knelt at the bedside. "Bad dream." Madeline nodded. "The man with the scary eyes. He was outside the window." Lily hugged her tighter. "No one's getting in, baby. You're safe. We're safe." Leonard brushed a stray curl from Madeline's forehead. "If you ever feel scared, you press this button." He pointed to the small intercom panel by the bed. "And I'll come running. Promise." Madeline's breathing slowed. She looked at him, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. "Will you stay close, Daddy?" The word hit Leonard with a force that nearly buckled him. He managed a nod, his throat tight. "I'm not going anywhere." After a while, Madeline's eyelids fluttered closed, her hand in Lily's. Leonard watched as Lily tucked her in, her movements tender and practiced. When they stepped out into the hallway, Lily whispered, "I want to believe you." He met her gaze, letting the silence say what words could not. Then, quietly, he returned to his office. The photograph glared up at him from the desk, the message taunting. He opened his laptop and began searching for connections, names, debts, threats, hoping to untangle the web Lily had fallen into. As the city slept, Leonard pored over public records, police reports, any sign of the men who hunted his family. Hours slipped by. Outside, the first gray light of dawn crept between the buildings. Leonard rubbed his tired eyes. A ping on his phone jolted him upright. Another message. "You're not as smart as you think. Midnight. The old pier. Bring Lily, or we come inside." He stared at the words, his mind racing. This was no longer a matter of money or pride. The past had come for him, and for the first time in his life, Leonard Drake realized that to protect those he loved, he might have to risk everything. A quiet whimper drifted down the hallway. Leonard rose, the photograph clutched in his hand, and went to check on Lily and Madeline, his world narrowing to the safety of two fragile hearts, and the storm waiting just outside his door. The sun rose thin and pale, casting a fragile gold over the penthouse. Leonard hadn't slept. He watched the city awaken from his office window, his mind racing with strategies and dread. On the desk beside him, the Polaroid and the new message were constant reminders. His world was no longer governed by contracts and boardrooms. Someone out there wanted to tear it apart. He heard light footsteps in the hall. Madeline's small face peeked through the doorway, her hair a tangle of curls. She padded in quietly and climbed onto Leonard's lap, the easy trust of children untouched by worry. He held her close, feeling her warmth, fighting the urge to weep. She traced the line of his jaw with one finger. "Did you have bad dreams too, Daddy?" Leonard forced a smile. "A little. But you made them go away." She nodded solemnly, her blue eyes searching his. "Are you mad at Mommy?" He shook his head, brushing a kiss across her forehead. "No, sweetheart. I could never be mad at her. Or you." She snuggled deeper, her voice muffled. "I like it here. It's warm. It smells like pancakes." He laughed quietly. "Would you like some?" Madeline nodded, beaming. "With syrup." Leonard's chest ached with love and guilt. "With extra syrup." He carried her to the kitchen, where Lily was already sitting, arms wrapped around a mug of coffee. Her eyes were red, but her chin was set with new resolve. Leonard set Madeline on a stool and moved to the stove, pouring batter onto a hot griddle. For a moment, they were a family again, the soft sizzle of pancakes, Madeline's chatter, Lily's wary glances. As he served the first stack, Lily caught his hand, her voice low. "We need to talk. Before she hears." He nodded, watching Madeline drown her pancakes in syrup, chocolate smudges appearing at the corners of her mouth. They left her with Marcus, who had learned to make balloon animals, to Madeline's delight, and retreated to the office, closing the door behind them. Lily paced, arms crossed. "You saw the message, didn't you?" Leonard nodded, sliding the phone across the desk. Lily's eyes darted over the words, her face blanching. "Do you know who they are?" he asked quietly. She nodded. "Their boss is called Redman. He lends to people no one else will touch. No contracts, no paperwork. Just threats." At first it was small, enough to cover food, a place to stay. Then the interest grew. "I tried to pay, but..." She shook her head, defeated. "He doesn't care about money anymore. He wants something else." Leonard's stomach twisted. "What does he want, Lily?" She stared out the window. "Whatever hurts the most. He knows you're rich, he'll squeeze you for everything, then come for me anyway. That's how he works." Leonard's mind flashed with images of Lily and Madeline huddled in the dark, hunted, afraid. "You're safe here," he said. "But he wants you at the pier tonight." "I'll go. I'll handle it." She turned, fear blazing in her eyes. "You don't know these people, Leonard. They don't play fair." He stepped close, laying a hand on her trembling shoulder. "Neither do I, when my family is threatened." She shivered, silent for a long moment. "Let me go with you." He shook his head. "Absolutely not. I won't risk you or Madeline." Lily's voice sharpened. "They'll hurt her if we don't do what they say. They always find a way." Leonard gripped her shoulders. "They don't know me." "Not really. I promise you, I won't let anything happen to her. Or to you." She sagged in his grip, the fight draining from her eyes. "If you're not back by dawn, I'll call the police." He nodded. "If anything happens, take Madeline and Marcus. Go to the safe house address in my wallet. Don't wait for me." A long silence stretched between them, old wounds bleeding into the morning light. There was a knock at the door, Madeline, with a balloon dog in her hand. "Mommy, Daddy, look. Marcus made me a puppy." Lily gathered her daughter into her arms, eyes shining with tears. Leonard watched them, his resolve hardening. By afternoon, the penthouse felt like a fortress. Leonard doubled the security, checked every lock, and reviewed every camera. Lily and Madeline spent the day in the library, reading together, the child's laughter ringing in the halls. As the sun dipped low, painting the city in gold and pink, Leonard changed into dark clothes, slid a small pistol into his coat, and wrote a note for Lily, just in case. He found them in the guest room, Madeline asleep, Lily tucking her in. She looked up as he entered, reading the decision in his eyes. "You'll come back?" she asked, barely breathing. "I promise." He bent and kissed Madeline's forehead, memorizing the shape of her face, the scent of her hair. Lily pressed her lips to his cheek. "Be careful, Leonard. Please." He left before she could see the fear in his eyes. Marcus met him in the hallway, silent and grim. They rode the elevator to the garage, the city's lights sparkling below them. Marcus handed Leonard a small earpiece and an untraceable phone. "I'll be close, sir. You give the word, and I'll bring the cavalry." Leonard nodded. "If I don't come back, get them to the safe house. No heroics, Marcus. Just keep them safe." The car slid into the city's evening traffic, the old pier looming ahead like a wound on the river's edge. Leonard braced himself for what waited in the dark, knowing this was no longer about debts or pride, but about the one thing he'd never learned to do: fight for the people he loved. The pier rose before them, empty except for flickering lamps and the outline of waiting shadows. Leonard stepped out into the gathering dusk, every sense alive to the threat that lingered just out of sight. A voice cut through the night, cold and sharp. "Drake, you made the right choice coming alone. Now let's see how much your family is really worth to you." The wind whipped across the river, carrying the sharp tang of rust and oil as Leonard walked onto the pier. Shadows drifted between the broken crates and the abandoned fishing boats. Every step echoed, too loud in the uneasy quiet. Leonard's eyes searched the darkness, heart pounding with every beat. From the gloom ahead, 3 men emerged, faces obscured by hoods and the cold blue light of the dock lamps. At their center stood a man in a crimson windbreaker, Redman. His hair was close-cropped and silver at the temples, his eyes black and depthless. Redman smiled without warmth. "Drake, you know, when I heard you'd come yourself, I was impressed. Most men send lawyers. Or muscle." Leonard kept his hands where they could be seen. "You have a problem with Lily. You want something. I'm here to settle it." Redman's smile widened, but it never reached his eyes. "You're clever. I like that. Let's talk business." One of his men flicked a cigarette to the ground, grinding it out with his boot. Another paced behind Leonard, blocking the path back to the car. Leonard's jaw tensed. "How much?" Redman laughed, shaking his head. "See, that's what I love about rich men. You think money is the answer to every problem." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "But I want more than money. I want insurance. People in my line of work need to send a message. No one walks away from a debt without paying, one way or another." Leonard's hands curled into fists at his sides. "You've made your point. I'll pay everything Lily owes. Triple. But if you come near her, or Madeline again." Redman cut him off with a dismissive wave. "It's not about the cash, Drake. It's about respect. I need her to be afraid. I need people to know I'm untouchable. If I let her go, everyone will want out. Then what do I have left?" Leonard took a steadying breath. "You came after a woman and her daughter. That's fear, not power." Redman's eyes hardened. "Careful, Drake. I know where your family sleeps." One of the men circled closer, hand resting on the bulge beneath his jacket. Leonard's pulse hammered. He forced his voice steady. "If you touch them, you'll never see another sunrise. That's a promise." Redman's laughter was harsh. "You think I'm afraid of you? Maybe you haven't noticed. You're standing alone, and I have nothing to lose." He paused, then snapped his fingers. The man behind Leonard yanked something from a duffel, a phone, Lily's old battered cell. "We took this from her place," Redman said, tossing it to Leonard's feet. "There's enough here to find her if you ever try to disappear again. Consider it a favor." Leonard stared at the phone. "What do you want?" Redman's smile vanished. "I want you to beg. I want to hear the billionaire on his knees, asking for mercy. And then, maybe, I'll let you all walk away. If not..." He jerked his chin. The third man drew a gun and leveled it at Leonard's chest. Leonard glanced over his shoulder. Marcus' car was gone, playing decoy as planned. No help coming. He was truly alone. He knelt slowly, his coat brushing the splintered boards, pride burning away beneath a father's fear. "Let them go," he said. "You have me. Take the money. Leave Lily and Madeline alone. Please." Redman leaned in, savoring the moment. You really would do anything for them, wouldn't you? Even crawl. Leonard stared up at him, refusing to look away. For them, yes. For them, anything. Redman considered him, then spat on the ground. Pathetic. But maybe you're useful after all. I want 5 million by sunrise. No police. If you cross me, I'll send my men up to your penthouse and drag them out myself. Leonard's voice shook with contained fury. You'll have your money. But if you touch my family, you'll spend the rest of your life running from me. Redman smirked, stepping back into the shadow. Remember, Drake. People like us, we never really change. We just get better at hiding the things we're ashamed of. The gunman stepped aside, gesturing for Leonard to leave. Leonard rose, every muscle trembling, hatred simmering in his blood. As he reached the end of the pier, Redman's voice rang out in the darkness. One more thing, if you're late, the girl pays the price. Tick-tock, Billionaire. Leonard didn't look back. He made it to the car, breath coming in ragged gasps. Marcus was waiting, his jaw tight. Did they hurt you, sir? Leonard shook his head, hands shaking. They want 5 million by dawn. Or they'll go after Lily and Madeline. Marcus pulled into traffic, voice clipped and urgent. You'll pay. Leonard stared out the window, heart torn between rage and terror. I'll pay. But then we hunt them. Every last one. As the city lights sped by, Leonard's phone buzzed, another message from Redman, a single image. Madeline, sleeping peacefully in the penthouse. Proof that Redman could reach them whenever he wished. The last sliver of hope bled from the night. Leonard realized there was only one way out of this, and it might mean losing everything he'd ever cared for. The car sped on, dawn threatening at the horizon, and the countdown had already begun. Leonard burst through the penthouse doors, his mind a storm of rage and dread. The city below was just beginning to blush with sunrise, but the world inside his home felt frozen. He found Lily in the kitchen, clutching a mug so tightly her knuckles were white, Marcus hovering nearby. Lily's eyes snapped to Leonard's face. What happened? She whispered. Are you hurt? He shook his head, but there was no comfort in the gesture. Redman was there. He wants 5 million, by sunrise. If he doesn't get it, he'll come for you and Madeline. He showed me a photo of her. Sleeping. In here. Lily's face went gray. He was here. Leonard nodded, fighting to keep his hands steady. He wanted me to know he could reach us any time. He's not bluffing. She looked as if she might collapse. We should run. No, Leonard said firmly. That's exactly what he wants. Panic, desperation. I'll pay him, but this ends tonight. Marcus spoke, voice calm but urgent. I'll sweep the place again. The staff, everyone, no one's getting in here without my say. He was already moving, checking cameras, securing windows, barking orders into his comm. Lily pressed her hands to her face, tears leaking between her fingers. I'm so sorry, Leonard. I never wanted any of this. He went to her, pulling her close, letting her sob against his chest. None of this is your fault. Redman preys on the desperate. He's done this to 100 families, maybe more. Madeline's soft footsteps broke the moment. She peeked around the corner, eyes wide with confusion. Why is everyone yelling? Lily wiped her tears, forcing a smile. It's nothing, baby. Just a bad dream. Leonard bent, scooping Madeline into his arms. We're all together now. That's what matters. As the sun edged higher, Leonard went to his office, logged into his accounts, and started transferring the money. 5 million. Gone in seconds, more than most saw in a lifetime, but nothing compared to the thought of losing his family. He snapped a photo of the wire confirmation and sent it to Redman, his jaw set, heart hammering. Moments later, his phone vibrated with a new message. Redman's words burned through him. You're a fast learner, Drake. Tell Lily I said hello. If you ever call the police, you'll never see your daughter again. Leonard crushed the phone in his fist. He stormed to the balcony, letting the morning air cut through his fury. Marcus joined him quietly. "He'll just ask for more, won't he?" Leonard muttered, voice raw. Marcus nodded. "People like Redman always do. Unless you make it impossible for him." Leonard stared out over the city, mind racing. He said he wanted to send a message. Maybe it's time I send one back. A plan began to form in the tense silence. He returned to Lily and Madeline, found them curled together on the couch, a children's book open on Madeline's lap. He knelt beside them. "I want you both to pack your bags," Leonard said softly. "Just the essentials. Marcus will take you to a safe place outside the city. I need you to trust me." Lily's fear warred with hope. "What about you?" He squeezed her hand. "I have to finish this, Lily. If I don't, he'll never stop. Not for us, not for anyone." Tears glimmered in her eyes, but she nodded, fierce and brave. "I believe you." Madeline tugged his sleeve. "You'll come back for us, Daddy?" Leonard smiled through the ache in his heart. "Always." Marcus returned, all business. "I'll take them myself. The safe house is ready. Nobody will get close." He took Lily and Madeline gently by the hand, leading them toward the elevator. Leonard watched the doors close, the final glimpse of his daughter's small hand waving. He turned back to the empty penthouse, every nerve on edge, every sense sharp. He called in every favor, every friend in law enforcement, every private investigator who owed him a debt. The clock ticked toward noon. Information flowed, Redman's real name, old mugshots, secret hideouts, the network of fear he'd spun across the city. Leonard listened, learned, planned. A single thread kept appearing, an abandoned warehouse near the river, where Redman was rumored to hole up between jobs. Leonard grabbed his coat and a steel box from his safe. Inside was a pistol, a badge from his days on the board of the city's anti-corruption task force, and an old photograph of a smiling baby Madeline. He tucked the photo into his pocket, steeled his heart, and left. Downstairs, a black SUV idled, a familiar face in the driver's seat. Marcus had returned, eyes blazing with resolve. "Let's end this, sir." Leonard slid into the seat. To the river. No more running. As the SUV cut through the city, the sun high overhead, Leonard felt the old instincts return. He was a billionaire, yes, but beneath the tailored suit and power, he was still a father, and no one would threaten his family again. As the warehouse loomed ahead, shadowed by cranes and the sweep of the river, Leonard's phone buzzed once more, a live video feed. The camera panned across Lily and Madeline, huddled together in a dark room, fear etched into their faces. Redman's voice rasped through the speakers. "You're out of time, Drake. Come alone, or your girls disappear for good." Marcus glanced at Leonard, jaw set. Leonard nodded once, a silent vow burning in his eyes. He stepped out of the car and into the shadows, determined to end the nightmare, no matter the cost. Inside, a single steel door slammed shut behind him, plunging him into darkness. Redman's laughter echoed off the concrete walls. "Welcome, billionaire. Did you really think it would be that easy?" Leonard blinked as the steel door sealed, plunging him into a pool of shadow and stale air. The warehouse reeked of old oil and dust, every sound amplified by the cavernous emptiness. He could hear footsteps circling somewhere in the gloom, the faint whimper of a child echoing from deep within. He took a cautious step forward, hand tight on the pistol hidden beneath his coat. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to call for backup, but he kept moving, fueled by a father's desperation. A lone bulb flickered to life overhead, casting a harsh white spotlight on the center of the warehouse. Redman stood there, flanked by his two armed men. Behind them, in a makeshift cage of chain and padlocks, huddled Lily and Madeline. Pale, terrified, Madeline's little hands clinging to her mother's sleeve. Leonard's heart twisted. "Let them go, Redman. I brought what you asked for. You have your money. You got what you wanted." Redman's grin flashed like a blade. You really think this is about the money? Money's just paper, Drake. You want to know what I really want. He pulled out Leonard's old badge and tossed it at his feet. Respect. Fear. The kind you had when you ran this city. You made enemies, Drake. Friends of mine. They want you broken. I want you broken. Leonard's jaw tightened. You want fear? You'll have it, when the police come tearing this place apart. My security knows I'm here. Your time's up, Redman. Redman barked a harsh laugh. Your security. Your driver is rotting in a trunk by the river. He sneered at the flicker of pain on Leonard's face. No one's coming. Leonard forced himself to remain calm. Let them go. I'm here. Isn't that what you wanted? Redman gestured, and one of his men yanked Lily and Madeline to their feet. Madeline cried out, and the sound sliced through Leonard's composure like glass. He stepped forward, hands raised. Let the girl go, he shouted. Redman shook his head slowly. You're in no position to make demands. Here's what's going to happen. You'll sign everything over to me, your shares, your assets, all of it. And when I'm done, maybe I'll let them walk. Maybe. Leonard glanced at Lily, searching for strength in her eyes. She nodded almost imperceptibly, trusting him even now. He looked at Madeline, who stared back, trembling but silent, her faith in him absolute. He squared his shoulders. You'll get nothing if you hurt them. That's a promise. Redman's lips curled. You're still bargaining. That's your problem, Drake. You don't realize when you've already lost. He signaled his men. One pressed a gun to Lily's temple, the other gripped Madeline's arm, making her whimper. Leonard's world narrowed to a pinprick of fury and terror. He took a careful step forward, meeting Redman's gaze. Let them go. I'll sign. Just don't hurt them. Redman nodded, producing a thick stack of papers. Sign now. Then you get to say goodbye. Leonard took the pen, his hand steady despite the tremor in his heart. He signed the first page, then paused, looking up at Redman. You have my money. Now keep your word. Let them go. Redman's eyes glittered. Don't rush me. Men like us, we savor the moment. As Leonard finished the last signature, Marcus's voice crackled in his earpiece, almost too soft to hear. 10 seconds. Get ready. Leonard's heart hammered. He signed the final page, then tossed the pen aside. It's done. Now let them go. Redman grinned, signaling his men. One moved to unlock the cage, gun still drawn. But as the lock clicked open, a deafening crash split the silence. The side doors burst wide, and a half-dozen figures in tactical black stormed the warehouse. Redman whirled, cursing. Gunfire shattered the quiet, bullets ricocheting off metal beams. Leonard dove for Lily and Madeline, shielding them with his body as chaos erupted. Redman's men fell back, firing wildly, but the tactical team closed in with precision and force. Smoke filled the air. Sirens wailed outside. Leonard pulled Lily and Madeline from the cage, ducking behind crates as the battle raged. He cradled Madeline, whispering comfort, while Lily clung to his arm, trembling but unbroken. A final, desperate shout cut through the smoke. Redman, cornered and defiant, his gun trained on Leonard. You think you've won, Drake? You haven't. I'll find you. I'll. A single shot rang out. Marcus, standing behind Redman, weapon steady. Redman crumpled, the fight bleeding out of his eyes. The warehouse fell silent, smoke swirling in the shafts of early morning sun. Leonard staggered to his feet, clutching Lily and Madeline, his heart pounding with shock and relief. Police stormed the floor, handcuffing the survivors, reading rights, barking orders. Madeline wept into Leonard's chest. Lily pressed her lips to her daughter's hair, tears of relief sliding down her cheeks. Leonard looked up, meeting Marcus's eyes. The man nodded, grim and battered, but alive. The world outside the warehouse waited, sirens, police, sunlight, but inside, for one breathless moment, everything stood still. Then, a detective's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and cold. "Mr. Drake, there's something you need to see. Now." Leonard's heart plummeted as he followed, Lily and Madeline at his side, knowing that whatever waited might change everything, again. Leonard pressed Madeline protectively to his side, guiding Lily through the tangled scene of officers and flashing lights. Outside the warehouse, first light gleamed on the river, painting the chaos in an eerie peace. Marcus moved with them, his jacket torn at the sleeve, jaw set with tension. The detective, a compact woman with cropped hair and steel-gray eyes, motioned them aside. "Mr. Drake, you need to see this." It was on Redman. She led them to a squad car where a battered briefcase lay open. Inside, paperwork spilled out, passports, surveillance photos, and a battered notebook with Leonard's name scrawled across the cover. The detective flipped through its pages, her gloved fingers pausing on a photograph. She handed it to Leonard. His breath caught. The image was grainy but unmistakable, Lily and Madeline, days ago, watching the traffic from a city park bench. Redman had been tracking them far longer than they realized. Leonard thumbed through more pictures, some of Lily at a shelter, some of Madeline at a playground, all marked with times, dates, and strange symbols. "He was obsessed," the detective said quietly. "Not just with the money. With you. He kept a record of your movements for weeks." Lily shuddered, her fingers trembling as she flipped through the stack. "He said he wanted to ruin you. Did he ever come near Madeline? When we weren't looking?" The detective shook her head. "From what we can tell, his threats were about power. We found no sign he touched her. But you need to be careful. These men, even when one is gone, there are always others." Leonard stared at the last photograph, a close-up of Madeline's face, taken through a car window, fear flickering in her eyes. A cold resolve settled over him. He looked at Marcus. "How many of Redman's people are left?" Marcus shook his head, voice low. "A few. Not many will stick their necks out with the boss gone, but we'll be watching." Lily leaned into Leonard, silent tears running down her face. "We have to disappear, don't we?" He cupped her face, brushing away her tears. "No. Not this time. I'm done running. And I'm done letting fear control us." The detective closed the briefcase, her gaze softening. "There's more. We found something else in Redman's pocket." She handed Leonard a slip of paper, stained and torn. It read, "You owe me. You know what you did." No signature, just a phone number scrawled beneath the threat. Leonard's heart stumbled. He recognized the number, an old contact, someone he'd crossed years ago in a ruthless business deal. For a moment, the world tilted. Redman hadn't just wanted money. He'd been a weapon, pointed at Leonard by an enemy who was still out there. He met the detective's eyes, voice hard. "Will you keep this quiet?" She nodded. "As long as you cooperate. Give us what you know, names, dates, deals. Help us tear down the rest." Leonard hesitated, looking at Lily and Madeline. He'd spent a lifetime building walls, keeping secrets, making enemies in the name of power. But as Madeline clung to him, he knew the walls had to fall. He nodded. "You'll have everything." Lily exhaled, as if she'd been holding her breath for years. The detective closed her notebook. "I'll have officers escort you home. And someone watching your place. But Mr. Drake, understand, this isn't over. Whoever sent Redman could try again." Leonard wrapped his arm around Lily, his hand steady now. "Let them come. I'm not alone anymore." Madeline reached up, small fingers seeking his. "Can we go home, Daddy?" He knelt, pulling her close. "We're going home, sweetheart. All of us. And nothing's going to tear us apart again." Police lights flashed blue and red across the battered docks as they climbed into the back of a squad car. Marcus followed, his eyes sharp, every muscle ready for whatever came next. As the car pulled away, Leonard watched the warehouse recede in the mirror, its secrets smoldering behind them. He thought of the note in his pocket, the new enemy waiting in the shadows, the unfinished business from his old life. He didn't know when or how they would strike. But as Lily rested her head on his shoulder and Madeline nestled against his chest, Leonard realized he would face any danger, any darkness, if it meant keeping them safe. The city rolled by outside, already beginning to wake. In the hush of the back seat, with the warmth of his family pressed close, Leonard allowed himself to hope. But in the quiet between heartbeats, he heard the promise of trouble still to come, a war not yet finished, and a past that refused to stay buried. As they neared the safety of the penthouse, Leonard's phone vibrated one last time. A new message, just 4 chilling words. "We're not done yet." The fight, Leonard knew, was far from over. Leonard stepped into the penthouse, the city's hush pressing close, every surface glowing in the blue morning light. Lily and Madeline paused at the threshold, the home that once seemed too grand, now a fragile sanctuary. Marcus entered last, locking the door and setting the new security alarm with practiced hands. The apartment was exactly as they'd left it. Dishes on the counter, Madeline's drawing on the fridge, the faint scent of coffee in the air. Yet everything felt changed, every shadow held a memory of fear, every silence a reminder that safety was a thin veneer. Lily moved to the window, staring down at the river. Madeline trailed behind, her stuffed rabbit gripped tight. Leonard joined them, wrapping an arm around Lily's shoulders, pulling Madeline close with his other hand. For a moment, they just breathed, 3 hearts in one fragile rhythm. Marcus cleared his throat. "All quiet, sir. Police are posted in the lobby." And I swept the building. No sign of trouble. For now. Leonard nodded, his voice rough with exhaustion and gratitude. "Thank you, Marcus. For everything." The man just nodded, lingering by the door as if he too was afraid to leave them alone. Lily looked up at Leonard, eyes searching his. "Do you think it's really over?" He hesitated, weighing the hope in her face against the warning in that last message. "We're safe for now. But the world won't let us disappear. Not anymore. I have to finish this. I can't let someone else come for us. For Madeline." Madeline looked up at him, her blue eyes impossibly wise. "You're not going to leave again, are you?" He knelt, drawing her into his arms. "Never. Not ever. You and your mother, my whole world. I promise." Lily wiped a tear away, voice trembling. "What happens now?" Leonard straightened, resolve settling over him like armor. "Now. We start again. And we fight together. No more secrets. No more running." He picked up his phone, dialed the number from the note found in Redman's pocket. Each ring echoed through the silent room. On the 4th ring, someone answered, a voice low and sly, familiar from nightmares past. "Drake. You survived. Good. Now listen." Leonard cut him off, fury sharpening his words. "You sent Redman. You threatened my family. I don't care what grudge you're holding. If you come near us again, I will bury you and everything you ever cared about. Do you hear me?" A cold chuckle slid down the line. "You've changed, Drake. Maybe you've finally figured out what you're willing to lose." Leonard's hand shook, but his voice was steel. "I'm willing to lose everything but them. That's your warning. And if you ever come near us again, you'll wish you'd never learned my name." He hung up, the threat hanging in the air like a drawn blade. Lily drew him close. Madeline slipped between them, her little hand seeking both their warmth. For the first time, Leonard let the fear and anger drain away, replaced by a fierce, trembling hope. He turned to Marcus. "Find everything you can about that number. Friends, family, business partners. I want no more ghosts in the dark." Marcus nodded. "I'm on it." As the sun broke over the city, flooding the penthouse with light, Leonard looked at the 2 people who had become his reason for everything. He realized he was done hiding from his past. No matter what darkness threatened, he would face it head-on, this time, not as a billionaire, but as a father, and as a man who had finally learned what was truly worth fighting for. In the quiet of the morning, Madeline pressed her face to his chest. "Are you happy now, Daddy?" He smiled, tears blurring his vision as he kissed her brow. Yes, sweetheart. I am now. But even as peace settled, somewhere in the city, another phone began to ring. Another figure in the shadows answering the call. For the Drakes, the future would always hold the threat of storms. But as Leonard held his family in the golden light, he knew that together, they could weather anything. And outside, far below, the city hummed on, oblivious to the war that had been fought and the family that, at last, had found its way home.